My beloved child, when the light from the sacred realm shines upon the earth, nothing can remain hidden in the shadows. I, the one who created all things and see every hidden matter within the hearts of men, I am calling you to the place of awakening, not because you are lost, but because the hour of separation between what is true and what is false is drawing near, and in that hour, all things once skillfully veiled by sweet words, every intention cloaked in the guise of goodwill, shall be unveiled before you, like a book whose seal has been broken. You once believed that some connections were born out of kinship or companionship, but not everyone who walks beside you has been sent by me. Some are present only to observe, to mimic, to manipulate. There are faces that smile, yet behind them lies a storm of schemes. I do not tell you this to make you suspicious of everyone, but to help you understand that wisdom is not the same as distrust. Wisdom is the light that shines in darkness, so that you will not be led astray by appearances. This concerns a person who has stood beside you, someone not unfamiliar, someone who once offered you comfort, who was present in important seasons, and who made you believe they were a true companion. But child, hear me clearly. There are those who are not friends, but false witnesses in a trial yet to be held. They did not come to build, but to analyze and exploit. They do not carry peace, but bear seeds of disorder, camouflaged in kindness. You have not imagined this. The unrest in your spirit is not without cause. There have been times, after conversations with this person, when you felt drained in ways you could not explain. There have been dreams that repeated, sudden impressions that made you feel something was amiss. You buried those intuitions beneath the shell of trust, because you did not want to think ill, because you longed to preserve peace. But truth does not need to be suffocated in order to maintain a false sense of calm. Now I come to you not to condemn that person, but to open your eyes, for if I do not expose this now, the wound will only deepen when the blow comes unexpectedly. I do not let you live in falsehood, nor will I allow destruction to reach you without warning. What you are about to witness is not the result of speculation, but part of my plan to sever the unseen tie that has bound you to someone who no longer walks in alignment with your vision. My child, do you know why I did not act sooner? Because I was waiting for your heart to be ready. If I had revealed this too early, you would not have been able to accept it. You would have defended them. You would have chosen the counterfeit over facing the pain. But now, your heart is ripe. Your ears are ready to hear. Your eyes are bright enough to see what has been concealed. And I say to you, the time of unveiling has come. No one can hide before the light of truth. The person I speak of has done more than you realize. They have not merely watched you silently, but have intruded into places I destined for your steps. They have not only hoped for your fall, but have orchestrated situations to steer you off course. They have not merely spoken of you behind your back, but have deliberately used words to diminish your credibility before those I appointed for your path. And all of this I have seen. No word escapes my hearing. No action goes unnoticed by my eyes. No intention can elude the one who searches the depths of the soul. My child, do not let emotions blur the truth. Do not let memories of good times between you cause you to deny what I am showing you now. In Scripture, it was Judas who once shared bread with Jesus, but he was also the one who betrayed the Master with a kiss. That act was not born solely from greed, but from a heart overtaken by darkness. Likewise, The one you trusted did not begin with evil intent, but was gradually lured onto a path from which they can no longer return. Know this: the truth is what sets you free, and truth is not always easy to accept. Do not delay your journey into freedom out of fear of hurting others, for when you hold on to a connection that has been poisoned, it is not only you who suffers. The very things I desire to do through you are also hindered. This is the time to cut the tie that was never from me. This is the time to step out from under the shadow of an influence you were never meant to carry. My dear child, when someone is given the opportunity to enter your private space, they are not merely encountering what you choose to share. They also come into contact with what you keep hidden, your unspoken dreams, your unhealed wounds, and the depths within you that have never found words. That is why, when trust is violated, the wound is not only emotional, it becomes a spiritual incision. A person who knows your vulnerabilities and uses them to manipulate you is not merely a betrayer, but an accomplice of the forces of darkness, working to destroy the purpose I have placed within your life. You are not alone in this battle. I have not revealed this only to leave you to navigate the maze of doubt on your own. I have come to walk with you through every step, to shield you from the lingering consequences of an unhealthy soul tie. Perhaps you are asking yourself, why is this revelation coming now, beloved? It is because the time has come. As a new season is about to unfold, I cannot allow you to step into it burdened by the weight of the past, by names that once served to disguise a harmful agenda, and by shadows clinging to you without your awareness. The enemy has cunningly cloaked his intentions beneath the veil of closeness. He whispered in that person's ear that they were the only one who truly understands you, that they were chosen to walk alongside you, and from there, a bond was formed based, not on truth, but on a counterfeit affection that is difficult to break. He did not attack with violence, but with a slow erosion, causing you to lose clarity and discernment. There were days when you could no longer distinguish between my voice and their whispers, and that alone weakened your prayer life, your worship, and your sense of self. But I have not left you in the fog forever. I have been shining light, little by little, through subtle events. A quiet glance, a vague word, a sense of unease you could not explain. I have knocked on the door of your mind many times, and today I burst that door open with my word, not to shatter you, but to renew your spirit. Because this revelation is not only about another person, it is also about you, your discernment, your inner strength, and the courage to let go. You do not need to keep proving that you have loved enough, been kind enough, or forgiven enough. I know all of that. I have seen your tender heart, your efforts to preserve unity, the times you swallowed your anger to avoid causing pain. But, my child, there is a sacred truth you must now embrace. Love is not tolerance for deception. Forgiveness does not mean keeping the enemy close. Faith does not mean ignoring clear signs from me. I have spoken to you through things no one else thought mattered: a forgotten letter, a missed call, a fleeting expression. You saw it all, yet you tried to overlook it. Now, I ask you to pause and look closely. Ask me directly. Come to me in stillness and say, Father, please confirm this to me. And I will answer, I will not let you be deceived again. I am not the God of confusion, but the one who illuminates, reveals, and brings truth out from behind the mask. My child, that person came to you, appearing as a helper, but within them was a transaction. They did not help you to glorify me, they did it to secure a place in your life. Every act of kindness carried an expectation of reward, and when things did not go their way, their heart turned. From there, the whispering began. They spun tales half true, half false. They whispered to others, saying, "I'm just concerned about them. I don't want to speak ill." But in doing so, they built a network designed to tarnish your name, twist your heart, and isolate you from those once close. And you didn't understand why some doors closed without warning, why certain relationships grew cold, why people who once encouraged you became silent or distant. You blamed yourself. You thought you had done something wrong. But no, my dear one, now is the time for me to expose the truth. That person, the one wearing the mask of a friend, quietly twisted your image in the eyes of others. But what they don't know is this: every lie will become evidence, every betrayal a testimony, and every hidden intent will be laid bare before the courts of heaven. Do not be afraid when this happens. Do not be ashamed when people begin to speak the truth about that person. Do not feel guilty when the truth comes into the light. You are not a troublemaker. You are not the cause of division. You are simply stepping into the light, and that light will reveal everything that darkness once concealed. My child, what you are about to face is not a personal clash between you and Themet, is a confrontation between light and darkness, between truth and deception. And in this battle, you are not the one holding the sword. I, the Lord your God, the God of righteousness, am the one who will handle everything. Your task is not to prove anything or to defend yourself. Your task is to stand firm in trust, to keep your heart pure, and to resist letting anger take root. When light begins to shine into places once hidden, the first response of the guilty is rarely repentance, it is resistance, justification, and deflection. That person may try to manipulate the narrative, blame you, or use tears and clever words to stir your sympathy. But you must discern. I am not calling you into coldness, but I also will not let you be pulled back into the vortex of deception. A kind heart does not mean allowing a double-hearted person to retain influence over your life. Remember, you are not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against unseen forces manipulating through people. Ephesians 6:12. This is not merely about that individuality, it is about the spirit behind their actions. There are forces in the shadows that have used their voice to sow confusion, and you must break ties not just with a person, but with the invisible powers that have hidden behind them. You must close the door that you've kept slightly open out of misplaced trust, and I will give you the strength to do it without breaking, without hatred, without bitterness. You may soon hear things you never imagined, details you once refused to believe were true. Witnesses will come to you, a random confession, un unexpected message, a conversation overheard by chance. None of it is coincidence. I am orchestrating everything so that the truth may come fully into the light, not to shame that person, but to protect you and to sever the root of the pain that has quietly bled through your life for so many years. Forgiveness is still something you are called to carry out, but forgiveness does not mean reinstating a relationship. Some people are only meant to be forgiven from a distance. Some connections must be closed entirely so that you may move forward without being pulled back. Forgiveness is the act of a liberated spirit, maintaining attachment, however, is a limited choice. If you continue to bind yourself to someone whose heart no longer walks in truth, You are chaining yourself to unrelenting waves that never cease. My child, you are stepping into a journey where the lightness of your soul will determine your capacity to receive new vision. I am opening doors for you, doors once closed, not because you were unprepared, but because those around you were unworthy to walk through them with you. They would have brought doubt, sown fear, and weakened your trust in divine guidance. That is why I had to remove them before I could place you where you were always meant to be. Exposure will not come with thunder or lightning, but through a series of small, piercing details sharp enough to break the mask of deceit. You must guard your heart from retaliation. There is no need to speak ill of them, no need to clear your name before everyone, for I am the one who will do that. I am your advocate. I am the righteous judge. And when I move, no one can stand against me. Every rumor, every scheme formed against you will crumble as truth rises. I have declared, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. But truth is not always easy to receive, and freedom sometimes comes at the cost of letting go of those once deeply familiar. You are not condemned for not seeing this from the beginning. Trust is a gift, not a weakness. But now, I am giving you another gift, clarity, not to harden your heart, but to help you walk in spiritual wisdom, so that deceit will no longer steal from your life. My beloved, from this moment on, rest your heart in the stillness of my spirit. Do not act rashly, but do not delay endlessly. Wait for my voice. I will show you the precise moment to step forward, to disconnect, and to open your heart to the newness I am preparing. Child, everything old is trembling. What was once misunderstood will now be revealed. I am clearing your path not to punish anyone, but to protect what I have planted within you. When an old cycle closes, a spiritual shift begins to unfold, and you now stand at the threshold of that transition between what once held you and what now awaits. But to enter the promised portion, you cannot carry the invisible burdens you've never dared to name. I am using this unveiling to cut off at the root a bitter seed that has silently grown inside you, a root of dependency on misaligned connections, of thirst for false affirmations, of glances you once mistook for goodwill, but were, in truth, masks painted with hidden motives. There is something you must understand. Not every closeness is a divine covenant. Some people come into your life like a passing breeze, bringing laughter, blessings, sometimes even support, but not all are meant to remain. I have ordained some relationships to last only for a season, and when that season ends, holding on to them delays your own growth. The one who once held your hand in hard times has chosen a path no longer aligned with the light. That choice did not happen overnight, but through many small decisions, unchecked pride, unresolved jealousy, and wounds left unhealed. I did not intend for your emotions to be forever governed by what does not come from my spirit. There were moments when you felt lost, your heart constricted for no clear reason. Times when, just as you were about to walk through a great door, everything unraveled. You didn't know that while you prayed for peace, the enemy quietly crept in through the least expected route, through someone you once trusted. That person did not come with a frightening face, but with a soft voice, with embraces that seemed to understand. Yet in truth, they were nurtured by intentions to manipulate and control. Know this, that person knows how to say what you want to hear, but they never truly listen to what you say. They know how to stand beside you, but never truly walk with you in vision. They seek information not to intercede, but to weaponize it when needed. Every word you spoke in weakness, they remembered. Every pain you disclosed, they analyzed. Every dream you shared, they subtly tainted with doubt like a drop of ink in clear water, clouding it gradually while you remained unaware. My child, do not blame yourself for not seeing it sooner. Light only pierces through when I choose to draw back the curtain. And now, I am tearing that veil not to accuse, but to deliver. There are truths that hurt when first received, but they are the medicine that sets the soul free. And what I seek from you now is not vengeance, nor prolonged sorrow, but complete release from a distorted relationship, from trust that was exploited, from an illusion you once believed was a blessing. For I am the one who leads you out of the wilderness, and no one escapes my attention. That person quietly sowed doubt in the minds of those who once stood with you. They reshaped truth into fragments of stories that slowly eroded your credibility. They told others they cared for you, while secretly withdrawing support piece by piece. But take heart, for all of it will return like a boomerang, not because you prayed for revenge, but because I am the God of justice, and I defend those who are mine. Do not try to mend what I am trying to remove from you. You cannot salvage a relationship whose roots have rotted. You cannot build a house on a foundation of deceit, and you cannot step into the new if your hands are still clinging to the old. Therefore, I say to you, open your hands, let go, let me do what I need to do, and you will see that everything has its reason, that every loss carries within it the seed of a beginning, and that every pain, when placed in my hands, will become a weapon of victory. My child, one of the most painful truths you must face on this journey of following me is this: not every smile is born of sincerity, and not every presence walks in alignment with the vision. Some walk beside you not because they share your purpose, but because they want to remain close enough to observe, to measure, and sometimes to manipulate your steps. They do not want you to completely fail, but neither can they bear to see you succeed beyond them. They dwell in a halfway space where praise is a mask, and envy is the core. I declare to you, this is a season of divine separation, a season where light will divide from darkness, truth will part from the counterfeit, and relationships will be tested like gold in fire. You will no longer be permitted to maintain ties that are not born of the Holy Spirit. You will no longer have the right to hold on to bonds that have rusted through compromise and appeasement. For if you continue to bind your heart to those who do not carry the spirit of the kingdom, delay and waste will follow you like a shadow. And I do not intend for that to happen in this phase of your life. That person, the one who walked with you, spoke of intercession, of vision, of faithfulness, did not carry a heavenly vision in their heart, but rather a strategy birthed from a wounded ego. They did not come to you because I sent them, but because their heart was filled with a thirst for control, recognition, and superiority. They did not truly bless you when you were lifted up, but nurtured a quiet bitterness every time my favor was poured out upon you. And that bitterness, over time, became the driving force behind their actions, subtle, intentional, and yet cloaked in my name. I know it has stunned you. I see the shattering in your heart as you come to terms with the fact that someone once so close could harbor such a twisted purpose. But I also see the strength awakening in you as you choose to face the truth, rather than deny it. You are growing. You are stepping out of spiritual naivety. And in this very wounding, I am forging within you eyes that can see beyond beautiful words, and a heart that discerns between my voice and voices borrowed from the shadows. You ask, why did you allow that person into my life, my child? Understand this, there are lessons that cannot be learned through theory or advice, but only through real encounters. There are levels of spiritual maturity that only unlock when you are forced to see the contradiction between appearance and essence. I did not err in letting you walk through this season. It was I who set the limit to that person's influence, so it would never exceed what you could bear. But I also used their very presence to underline a truth. No one, no matter how clever, can forever conceal their true nature when standing under the light of truth. This separation is necessary, is not a meaningless breaking. It is a purging act from heaven. For I cannot pour the new onto a foundation corrupted by deceit. The relationship you are walking away from is not merely a friendship. It is a prolonged manipulation that caused you to misjudge yourself, to doubt your calling, and at times, to even question whether I was truly with you. And when a relationship leads you away from what I have spoken, it is no longer one to be preserved. You are not responsible for that person's choices. You do not need to change who you are to please someone who placed their trust in darkness over truth. Your letting go is not betrayal, it is obedience. And obedience is better than sacrifice. 1 Samuel 15:22. I do not seek blind loyalty from you toward others. I seek your faithfulness to my voice. And now, that voice is echoing louder than ever before. It is time to end. When you withdraw from that influence, your mind will become clearer. You will begin to recognize things I once spoke to you that you had missed. There were events that seemed random, recurring dreams, a stranger's glance, a scripture that echoed in prayer were signs of warning. But because that person's presence was so strong within your sphere, you could not fully hear. Now, like a mist being swept away, you will find even the smallest details becoming vivid. For I am restoring the sensitivity of your soul, a sensitivity that had once been quietly stolen. My child, I did not lead you to walk in the light only so you could live in peace, but so you would become an instrument of light in a world full of chaos and deception. But how can you shine if you are still surrounded by a darkness disguised as friendship? How can you bring deliverance if you are still entangled in the cords of pretense and manipulation? That is why I had to intervene, not because you were not good enough, but because you are nearing a pivotal point, a place where, if that person's influence remained, your fall would be almost inevitable. That person did not merely seek to influence your actions, they sought to shape your very being to fit their desires. Their praise was not given to uplift you, but to keep you within their control. Their words of comfort were emotional hooks, making you feel indebted every time you tried to walk away from their influence. And in such situations, many souls have been distorted, not because they did not love me, but because they did not realize they were being led by another voice, not by my spirit. My beloved, you have paused at moments when you were meant to advance. You have hesitated at open doors because they planted questions in your heart, questions cloaked in spiritual language. Are you truly anointed? Is this really God's will? Why not wait a little longer? Each one seemed wise, but its true intent was to hold you back, to slow your steps, to make you depend on their perception rather than on my direct voice. My child, Remember this: I do not lead my people through confusion. I do not plant doubt in the hearts of those I love. When I speak clearly. When I guide, I confirm with peace. And when I warn, I do not do so randomly. But each warning is a piece in the pattern of your deliverance. The lingering unrest you have felt in that person's presence is not something to get used to, it is something to put an end to. You were not called to be a puppet in another's hand. You were created to walk in the freedom of the children of light. And that freedom does not thrive where you remain silent under manipulation. That freedom does not grow in fear of displeasing someone who has long since displeased me. I am lifting from you the fear of being misunderstood. I am breaking the obsession with pleasing people, and I am training you to be led by one voice alone, mine. You may lose some relationships in this season. Some will not understand why you are stepping back, why you are no longer the same. Some will be swayed by that person to turn against you, but let it happen. For with each step away from what has been defiled, you are stepping closer to the land of your calling. Do not grieve over what I am asking you to release. Do not look back for reasons to keep what I am telling you to leave. Remember this: that person is not merely an unhealthy relationship, but a tool used by the enemy to hinder a critical phase in your spiritual journey. Every season of spiritual life has a threshold, and at each threshold stand false gatekeepers, those who appear to support but are placed there to test, to discourage, to distract. That person is one of them. It is no coincidence that just as you were on the verge of breakthrough, they would orchestrate a situation to cause delay, to derail plans, to cloud clarity. Even so, my child, now I am breaking that cycle. I am removing the authority that person once held over your soul. I am closing the entryways they used to interfere with your emotions, thoughts, and decisions. And as I do this, there will be a shaking not only within you, but also among those around you. For exposure is not merely the act of revealing a person, it is the collapse of a structure that was built on sand. And once it falls, everything that stood upon it will be shaken as well. Do not fear. That shaking is necessary. It is the clearing of the path so that I may establish what is true. And in that collapse, your faith will not be broken, it will be rebuilt, stronger than before. Those who belong to me will be brought to support you, and the connections that come from my spirit will take their place. I do not take anything from you without giving back many times more. But the condition is this: you must choose to hear my voice. You must obey when I speak, even when your heart does not yet understand. My child, when I cleanse a field to plant new seed, I also uproot every thorn that has choked the life from the soil. What I am doing in your heart now is not a temporary intervention, it is a full restoration. You are no longer in the season of covering. Light is shining directly into the deepest places of your spirit, where wounds, doubts, and bonds not from me have long taken shelter. I do not merely want you to see who has been manipulating you, I want you to understand why it was able to happen. Not because you were weak, not because you lacked wisdom, but because you were born with a tender heart, an open soul, and a readiness to love even those who did not deserve it. Yet that very purity, if not shielded under my protection, becomes a target for the spirits of captivity that seek to exploit it. The person you are now moving away from is not the root cause. They are the final manifestation of a long chain of manipulations from the unseen realm, carried out through past relationships, through words that pierced your soul like arrows, through subtle rejections you once endured. They are the peak of a mountain of unspoken pain. And for that very reason, when I bring this into the light, I am not merely setting you free from a person, I am severing you from an entire invisible system that has operated in the dark to keep you bound for years. Listen, my child, there are those who never speak a harsh word aloud, yet their sweet speech is driven by jealousy and pride. They do not shout. They do not stir up obvious conflict, but they manipulate with silence, use sadness to guilt you, and cling with subtlety to keep you within their sphere of influence. And because you were created to love and unite, you believed that if you just tried harder, if you were patient enough, they would change. But, my child, no one changes unless they are willing to face the truth, and no one is healed unless they admit they are sick. I did not call you to be the one who fixes everything. I called you to be light, and light does not bargain with darkness. Light does not negotiate with falsehood. Light does not bow to make error comfortable. It is time for you to step into your true position, not as one trying to protect others from themselves, but as one mature enough to know that love never means enabling what is wrong. My child, I know there have been days you cried without knowing why, a hollow ache, a weariness you could not name, mornings when you awoke in silence, feeling something heavy pulling on your heart, though you had no reason to explain it. Those moments were not fleeting emotions. They were your spirit reacting to an unholy presence surrounding you. And now, as I begin to sever that influence, you will feel yourself breathe again, each breath infused with the freedom to be who you truly are. No longer asking permission to live in your authentic identity. My beloved, I know you've wondered why your spiritual life felt delayed, why the freshness in prayer has faded, why the joy in worship no longer feels complete. It is because of the quiet interference of a manipulative spirit, operating through that person who secretly locked the spiritual storeroom I prepared for you. Each time you approached a new season, disruption would surface. Every time you neared a door I had opened, they would introduce an emergency that pulled your focus away. You thought it was coincidence, but today I tell you, it was strategy. But now, enough. It is time for me to reclaim full authority over your life. I am shattering every influence that has manipulated your thoughts, the twisted promises, the delayed visions, the distorted connections. I am restoring them all. I am not only removing that person from your sphere of influence, but I am cleansing the lingering effects of their presence. You will not merely be delivered from them, you will be healed from the residue of prolonged control. This is not a gentle suggestion. This is a spiritual command. You are not to delay any longer. Do not wait for more evidence. Do not seek further confirmation. I have spoken enough. Now is the time to act. Separate yourself. Shut that door. Pray for complete deliverance. Let me handle the rest. And you will see. Not only will what was lost be returned, but you will step into an entirely new dimension where freedom is no longer something you plead for, but the very atmosphere you breathe. My child, when someone enters your spiritual space with impure intent, their presence begins to alter the atmosphere around you. It does not happen all at once, but gradually, quietly, like thin clouds slowly gathering until they obscure the sunlight. When I look at your life, I see too many days spent in the gray zone, where light has been diluted by an unholy presence, not because you made a wrong choice, but because you believed a lie disguised as love. But today, I have come to disperse that fog. I will not allow you to remain in a state that is half light, half darkness, half free, half bound. This person did not appear as an enemy, but as a companion. They did not approach you with open hostility, but as one who seemed aligned with your journey. And yet, that very alignment was a masterfully crafted deception. They watched every step you took, not to rejoice with you, but to keep count of the moments they felt left behind. When you were lifted up, they quietly felt disappointed. When you were called to go farther, they felt threatened. And from that point on, a series of actions began seen by no one but me. Half-hearted counsel, subtle reminders laced with control, a cold gaze hidden behind praise-all strategies designed to keep you within their influence. I say, it is time to sever that Tino out of anger. But in obedience, no need for declarations, no need for arguments, no need to expose them publicly. You are not called to justify, but to move forward. You do not need to explain, just step away. For when I act, I do not require your voice to defend me. I will let truth speak for itself. Truth does not need protection, it only needs to be revealed. And once it is revealed, no one can deny it. Look back on the times you felt unusually weary after speaking with them, the moments when your spirit sank without clear reason, the times you felt you had to prove something just to be validated. These are signs that your spirit was placed under invisible pressure. No one saw it, but I did. No one fully understood it, but I perceived it all. And I say, no more. You are called to soar, not to circle. You are called to walk in strength, not to keep patching wounds caused by one person's sowing. You may ask, why did you allow that person into my life? The answer lies in preparation. Before I lift someone higher, I always test their heart by allowing them to face counterfeits, those who seem sent by me, but are faint imitations, planted by the enemy to measure your discernment. If you pass, promotion is secured. If you let the counterfeit remain, delay follows. And now, because you have listened to my voice, because you no longer ignore the internal warning, I say to you, the delay is over. My child, your withdrawal is not a loss, it is a release. When you separate from what does not belong to you, what does belong to you will find its way. The relationships I ordain will never require you to shrink yourself so others feel safe. They will not use closeness to control you, nor promises to manipulate you. They will not trade trust for domination. They will come to resonate, to uplift, to call forth the best in you, not to dim the light you carry. Remember, no one can stand in the light while harboring darkness. No one can walk beside you while carrying hidden bitterness without me revealing it. And I do not accept compromise. I love you too much to let you remain bound by deception that has been hidden for too long. That person was once part of your journey, but they are no longer part of your destiny. Therefore, I say firmly, let go. For the time of separation has come. I am leading you out from under that person's influence through direct guidance from heaven. When you pray, I will speak. When you are silent, I will give clarity. When you move, I will go before you. And no scheme of theirs, no rumor they spread, no secret action they take, will be able to stop what I have destined for you. You need only obey. I will take care of the rest. My child, after every storm, the sky clears not because the wind has stopped blowing, But because all that was unstable has been swept away, I am allowing a spiritual shaking in your life not to destroy, but to purify what was once built with sugar-coated bricks, yet hollow inside. What once looked tightly woven but was rotting with all of it is being dismantled by me, piece by piece. And though it may leave you feeling empty or cause your heart to ache, it is the very evidence that you are drawing nearer to the eternal purpose I have for you. Remember, exposure is never pleasant, especially when the one being exposed was once part of a path you cherished. But beloved, emotion cannot be the reason to hold on to what I am removing. No matter how many memories they carry, no matter how sweet their words once were, they cannot walk with you any longer if the root of their heart does not bend toward truth. And you cannot continue walking in my way if you keep dragging along someone who has chosen to walk in opposition to the light. I know you once tried to hope. You prayed for that person to change. You placed your trust again after every disappointment. But now, I am asking you to stop placing hope in what has already been closed. Mercy does not contradict discernment. And in mercy, sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to step away. When you remove yourself from the influence of someone who refuses to repent, you give them the opportunity to face themselves. But when you stay, when you keep covering, when you remain silent, you become a refuge for a controlling spiritone that will never stop unless confronted. That person did not stop when they saw your weariness. They did not pause when you withdrew to pray. In fact, they increased their influence whenever you appeared confused or lonely, because they knew if they could claim the vulnerable places of your soul, they could determine how far you would go. And that is something I will not allow to continue. You are called to reach for greater things, to impact the souls who are waiting for a voice of truth. And that persona, matter how cleverly disguised, cannot journey with you into the promised land. My child, do not let old memories blur present revelation. I do not deny that there was a time when that person helped you. But an initial act of help cannot justify an eventual hidden motive. There are those who start well but refuse to let me shape their heart sand. They slowly veer onto a path I no longer walk with them. The sorrow is not that I remove them from your journey, but that they removed themselves from my presence long ago. I am simply taking you out of a connection that is no longer divinely endorsed. And you must understand, when I expose something, I do not do it halfway. Everything will be made clear. Every covering will be stripped. Twisted narratives will be redefined in the light. You do not need to defend yourself. You do not need to speak against them. You do not need to protect your reputation before men. For I am the one who defends your name. I am the one who restores what has been destroyed. And when I move, no one can undo what I have decreed. My child, what is coming will be a turning point. Things you never imagined will begin to come to light. Those who were once convinced by that person's words will start to see the truth. Some who kept their distance because of distorted perceptions will come seeking answers. But listen, I warn you, do not rejoice too quickly. This is not a moment to celebrate someone's downfall. It is a time to stay spiritually alert. For when a system of deceit collapses, the enemy will look for a way to rebuild it in a new form. Guard your heart from bitterness, from pride, and from the desire for revenge. Walk in humility, knowing that righteousness comes from me, not from your own sense of being right. Keep your conduct pure so the enemy finds no foothold to accuse you. And above all, forgive it because they deserve it, but because you need to be free. Forgiveness does not mean returning. It does not require maintaining the relationship. It is the decision to let your soul be unbound from someone else's actions. My beloved, I am doing a great work in your life. And part of that work is your deliverance from all that is not from me. You cannot carry any form of pretense into the next season. This coming season is one of divine establishment. I will lift you to a higher place. I will entrust you with things that have never before been given to anyone in your bloodline. But to carry it, you will need a spirit that cannot be manipulated. A heart no longer indebted to emotional ties with those who have departed from my will. Now is the time for me to shift your focus away from the one who has been exposed and prepare you to enter the new things I have ordained since the beginning. No longer dragged down by invisible cords, no longer slowed by deceptive words. You are stepping out of a land filled with thorns, not with wounded feet, but with a heart refined by truth. And now, I begin to reorder the spiritual structure of your life, where light will no longer be dimmed, and truth will no longer be compromised. Look around you, those who once remained silent while you were hurt, those who lent an ear to twisted stories, those who avoided your eyes for fear of seeing the truth. They will return, not to restore old connections, but to witness what I have done. I am not simply dealing with an individual. I am toppling an entire foundation of falsehood that once operated silently around you. And in this process, there will not only be exposure, but discernment of who is meant to walk with you and who must remain behind. Remember this, my child. There are people who were sent only to serve as the backdrop for a lesson you needed to overcome. They are not your enemies, but their presence was a test. And when the test is over, they will fade, making space for true connections that come from heaven. You do not need to cling, nor do you need to rush to fill the void. For every divine connection will not require you to sacrifice your peace to sustain it. I will send those whose presence will not drain you, will not cause you to doubt yourself, and will not pull your spiritual vision backward. You have walked through a season where praise became a double-edged sword. That person once praised you in public, but behind your back, they stripped away your credibility piece by piece. They crafted a version of you that was false, distorted, questioned, misunderstood, and for a long time, you could not understand why good doors were closing, why those once by your side began to turn away. But now you see, it was not I who closed those doors. It was slander subtly orchestrated that clouded how others saw you, and when their eyes were veiled, their hearts could no longer perceive you as I see you. My child, I will not allow deception to endure forever. When I act, I do not merely remove the darkness, I restore honor. What has been stolen shall be returned in abundance, not only in how others perceive you, but in how you begin to see yourself. For far too long, you have lived under the shadow of a lie you didn't even know you believed. You used to wonder, am I just too sensitive, or am I not good enough? I tell you, no. You were not wrong. You were distorted by words that did not come from me. And now, the truth is restructuring you from the inside out. Do not fear the silence that comes after the severing. That silence is the space where I declare something new. Do not try to fill it with substitute relationships. Do not call back those who once hurt you just to escape the void. That person was a noise disguised as presence. Now I am giving you true silence. A silence where you will hear me more clearly than ever before. It is in that place I will heal the invisible wounds, the fractures unseen by the eye, the cuts within your soul carved by years of manipulation and deceit. And my child, do not only see the ending, see the beginning. For I am not merely rescuing you from a person, I am releasing you into an entirely new season of expansion, of precise listening, of influence no longer confined. What I am about to give you cannot be shared with those who are not of one heart. Therefore, this separation is not a failure. It is the necessary condition for me to enlarge your spiritual borders, just as Abraham had to part from Lot before I showed him the promised land. So must you release those who do not carry the same vision, that your spiritual eyes may be fully opened. I do not want you to see halfway, to hear halfway, to believe in half-truths. You have come too far to tolerate deception for the sake of comfort. This is the time to stand firm. This is the moment to declare the new. This is the hour to step into your true identity, an identity no longer conditioned by painful memories or toxic words. When the old has been removed, the first thing I do is not to fill the gap with something new, but to quiet your heart so it can receive the precise order I'm setting in place. Many rush to replace a broken connection with another, thinking that a spiritual emptiness must be filled by people. But I do not build upon haste. I do not speak amidst noise. And I do not entrust the sacred to minds still stirred by doubt and unresolved emotion. Beloved one, your time in solitude is not a punishment. It is the space I've created to reshape your heart. That person once manipulated even the quietest moments of your life. They intruded during your prayers, inserted themselves into your thoughts as you sought me, sowed hypothetical questions that unsettled your faith without you realizing it. Now that they have been removed from your journey, I want you to relearn how to listen without their filter. Sit with yourself. My child, let the Holy Spirit touch the places you once dared not face. There are areas in your spirit that have been suffocated by the pressure to be appropriate, to be agreeable, to be reasonable expectations that person embedded in you for easier control. But I did not design you to fit the mold of another. I created you to walk in a pattern ordained from heaven, a design that cannot be duplicated, a destiny that cannot be replaced. You will begin to feel a distinct shift within your spirit. What once frightened you will begin to lose its grip. Faces that once intimidated you will no longer hold power. Not because you've grown numb, but because I am peeling off the old skin of emotional dependency. That person once made you believe that without them, you wouldn't be strong, wouldn't be loved, wouldn't be protected. But I say to you today, I am the one who has kept you all this time, and I will keep you even more. Now that you are no longer bound to lies, you do not need a gatekeeper to make decisions for you. You do not need permission to walk through doors I have already opened. I never called you to be a puppet in someone else's hand. You are the heir of a covenant. You carry the seal of eternal chosenness, and for that reason, anyone who tries to limit you with fear, control you through guilt, or manipulate you through loyalty is resisting what I have already decreed. Remember, this person was never your spiritual teacher, nor were they my representative. They were a test, and you have passed not because you were never shaken, but because in the end, you chose to stand in the light rather than pacify the darkness. You chose to leave behind false comfort to face the truth. Even though that truth shattered parts of the memories you held dear, yet it is this very courage that is becoming the foundation upon which I will build something new in your life. My dear one, do not let guilt come back to bind you. I know you are wrestling with the question, if I reject this person, does that mean I lacked love? But I answer, Love is never a compromise with what is misaligned. You are not called to keep someone in your life at any cost. You are called to walk in obedience, and sometimes obedience requires you to leave behind those whose hearts no longer belong to me. Even if their hands are still lifted in praise, even if their lips still declare, my name. That person knew how to speak spiritual language, but they no longer lived in the spirit of truth. They knew how to mention me, but their motives were no longer soaked in my presence. And for that reason, I can no longer allow them to have influence in your life. Their presence was an entry point for the enemy, a door I never shut because you weren't ready to walk away. But now, I have closed that door, and if you try to reopen it, you will walk into a battlefield where I am no longer present. You do not need to fix them. That is my work. Your part is to keep your heart upright. Walk with wisdom, and not let nostalgia drag your vision backwards. Do not look back for explanations. Do not analyze to justify. Do not rekindle old hopes just because you fear the void. For with every step of surrender, I am giving you something far greater, a renewed spirit, a restored will, and a vision unfolding like the dawn after a long rain. My child, a chapter has closed, and no one can write something new if they keep rereading the torn pages. I do not only want you to shut the door to a relationship defiled by control and pretense, I want you to lock it and throw away the key that kept you hesitating between truth and familiarity. Because there will be no going back, no repeating, no compromising. The past season has ended, and a new one now calls you to carry a fully renewed mind. It is time for you to lift your head and look straight at the path I have placed before you. There is no longer any need to analyze every detail of the past. No more asking, what happened to that person? Or, should I have acted differently? My child. All that needed to be done, I have already instructed, and you have obeyed. The rest is no longer yours to carry. The healing of someone else's mind, the handling of consequences from their actions, these are my responsibilities. Yours is to step into the next portion I have long prepared. Do not let the enemy drag you back into that familiar loop, where guilt lures you simply because you dared to step away from a toxic influence. That person may play the victim. They may run to others to retell the story in a way that benefits themselves. But you do not need to defend. Truth has its own voice. And when I speak, no one can silence what is right. The enemy will try to convince you that exposure is cruelty, that you were too hard-hearted. But remember this: compassion is not a reason to keep nurturing the darkness. You have forgiven many times. You have given chances many times. You have stayed silent to preserve peace. But silence is not always love. Some silences are wordless agreements with wrongdoing. And when I begin to bring things into the light, silence is no longer an option. I did not call you to live in a false peace, where stability is bought at the cost of truth. I called you to stand firm in the justice of heaven, where light does not apologize for showing up. My child, I am restoring something vital to you that you didn't know you had lost: the confidence to discern my voice. That person made you question your spiritual intuition, made you second guess, revisit, and dissect what I had already spoken. And you started to doubt the very voice within you, thinking it might be just your emotions. But no, my child, that was me. I spoke clearly, and the confusion did not come from might, came from a cloaked influence. Now, a new wind is beginning to blow through your soul. What once felt heavy will gradually feel weightless. What once seemed complicated will suddenly become clear. You will begin to distinguish between true divine prompting and echoes from the old mindset. Because I am re-establishing spiritual authority within you, not an outward display of power, but a quiet force that makes darkness retreat simply because your presence carries light. And as I renew your spirit, I am also preparing new people. They are coming not to replace anyone, but to resonate with you, people unafraid of the light, not envious of your elevation, not secretly tracking your steps to compare. They come with integrity, with genuine unity, with hands that hold no hidden blades, and you will know them when they arrive. For your spirit is now sharp enough to sense the difference. You won't need too much time to verify. Truth always bears its own signature. A deep peace that no one can counterfeit. My child, the loneliness you feel right now is not a sign of loss. It is a temporary separation for renewal, a necessary emptiness to lay the foundation for something greater. Embrace the stillness as a gift, not as punishment, for in it, I am stitching back the torn places in your heart, realigning the markers on your path, and rewriting the story with ink from my own hand. You are no longer the one manipulated, no longer held in the shadows because of hidden envy, no longer bowing your head for permission to enter what you were called to. You are the one set free, the one being reshaped, the one who from today will no longer see the world through the lens of betrayal, but through the vision of the one who chose you before the foundations of the world were laid. And in that new land, no one can place a price on your destiny. No one can trap you into staying behind. No look of disdain, no accusation, no crafty scheme can stop what I am doing. For what I open, no one can shut. What I decree, heaven and earth must obey. You are no longer limited, no longer delayed. You have been unlocked. My child, you have walked through the land of unveiling, and now I bring you into the place of establishment. What was once torn down, removed, and dismantled was never an end in it, was the beginning of an unshakable foundation. Just as a builder cannot erect a sturdy house on decayed roots, I had to touch areas in your life you once guarded from everyone. But today, your heart is open, your spirit is softened, and I, the God of life, I am beginning to rebuild every part of you according to the original heavenly design. One thing I want you to remember, true restoration is not the return of the old, but the emergence of what has never been. I am not taking you back to the former place hoping it will be better. I am leading you into an entirely new chapter, where you won't have to waste energy shielding yourself from pretenders, where you won't need to tiptoe around every word, or measure your steps to avoid sparking someone's jealousy. This is the place where you can live fully unrestrained, incomparable, and unapologetically within your destiny. Be ready, for I am about to lift you up in front of those who once doubted you, not for revenge, but to prove that my hand is real, not for triumph over them, but for my glory to be revealed. What you are about to witness is not retaliation, it is confirmation. For in silence, you endured misunderstanding. In quietness, you prayed persistently. And while others built their image with words, you chose to stay true. I have seen it all. And now, I choose this moment to place you in the spotlight, not for applause, but to prove that I am still at work in this generation. You will not need to knock on doors. I will open them. You will not need to chase validation. I will send those to confirm it. Invitations will come from places you never expected. Support will arise from those who once seemed distant. Because I am the one who works in unpredictable ways. And when I decide to elevate someone, no human force can stand in the way. Every curse is broken. Every wicked scheme is overturned. And everything once built to bring you down will be crushed beneath your feet. My child, when the expansion begins, you must always remember this. Do not carry the dust of the old season into the new land. There are wounds you thought you had overcome, yet they still lie in wait, seeking a moment to weaken your stride. Therefore, I will continue to cleanse you, even as I open new doors. Do not assume healing is complete just because the tears have ceased. Some wounds do not bleed, yet they still distort the way you perceive the future. And I love you too much to let those silent cuts deform your vision. My beloved one, I will teach you how to trust again, not blindly, but with sharp discernment. I will bring you new connections not to fill empty spaces, but to reinforce the journey. The ones I am sending will carry no demands. They are not coming to mold you, but to awaken what has been within you from the beginning. They will see your worth without requiring you to prove it. They will not envy the fire upon you. Instead, they will help you keep it burning in the right direction. And when these connections arrive, you will recognize the difference. No more feeling watched. No more veiled questions. No more emotional games. Only freedom. Only safety. Only true support. But to discern this, you must remain in prayer. Allow the Holy Spirit to search your heart and continue to stay sensitive. For light always draws attention, and not every gaze is born from admiration. Do not fear the prominence I am placing you in. It is not a trap, it is a platform through which I will reveal my purpose in you. But always remember, the heights are where the winds are strongest, and with visibility comes responsibility. I raise you up not for applause, but so that others may look upon you and see me. The glory will not settle on you. It will shine through you. Stay humble. Keep your heart tender. Always know that I am the source of every good thing now flowing to you. My child, once I place you in your appointed place, I also take responsibility for shielding you from the arrows launched in secret. For with elevation comes scrutiny. With great grace comes proportionate testing. But do not be afraid. My protection does not delay. It does not depend on your ability to defend yourself, but rests upon my eternal faithfulness. When I bring you into new ground, I also seal shut the doors that once allowed danger to enter. Every vulnerable entry point will be secured by my presence. You do not need to protect your image as the world does. You do not need to build walls of words to defend against distortion. Let me be the guardian of your honor. Let my voice speak where you cannot explain. For there are matters which, if you try to clarify, will only be further misunderstood. But if you rest quietly in me, even those things will rise as testimony to the righteousness I have placed upon you. There will come a time when the sound of the wind speaks louder than words. My dear one, there were moments you doubted your worth. You were treated as something replaceable, discarded when no longer convenient. But I have never looked upon you with such shallow eyes. From the moment I formed you in your mother's womb, I have watched over every detail of your life. Not for a single moment have I turned my gaze from you. Even when you believed yourself unworthy of love, the truth is, your value is not determined by who respects you. but by the fact that I chose you to bear my image on this earth. There will be times when you feel lost in the very land I have given you. You may be tempted to return to familiar patterns, places where things were predictable and known. But do not go back. Do not listen to the whispers calling you into old forms of control. I have delivered you from those subtle chains, and I will not allow you to be bound again by what I just shattered. When you feel alone in this vast, open space, remember, it is the season where I am training you to walk as one who is sent, not one who is merely seeking shelter. Beloved child, let me wash away the old memories with a new presence. The painful images, the sounds that once wounded your spirit, the words that weighed heavy on your heart, all of it shall be replaced. Not by forgetting, but by transformation. You will no longer tremble at the thought of them. Instead, you will smile through tears, giving thanks in silence, because I kept you from what once threatened to drown your life. What was once a chain will become a testimony. The tears you shed will become the seeds of a sacred harvest. And then you will witness what you cannot yet imagine, that the very things which hurt you most, once touched by me, will become your most powerful weapons. You will help those who are confused as you once were. You will guide those who are lost in doubt and betrayal. You will not preach theories, but share from lived experience, where I stepped in and pulled you from the pit. That is why what you are enduring now is not meaningless. It is shaping your voice and sharpening your spirit for the mission ahead. Do not be afraid if everything begins to move quickly. My expansion does not follow human schedules. It needs no elaborate preparations. It does not wait for you to be ready by societal standards. When I see your spirit has stood firm, that is when I act. And when I move, no one can stop it. The door I open will not require your strength to push it, will swing wide on the wind of my spirit. And all you need to do is walk through. I know you once thought you would need a large team to step into your destiny. But no, the first thing you need is obedience. I will provide the rest. I will send the right people at the right time, with the right spirit to stand beside you. There will be no need for loud announcements or complex arrangements. Just keep your heart upright. And I will connect you to divine alignments, relationships where there is no competition, no deceit, and no darkness hiding in the light. O child, do not despise your small beginnings. Every great thing begins in silence. I do not build the magnificent out of noise, but out of the whisper of obedience. And what I am doing in you will not need to be proven by outward appearance. When the time of harvest comes, no one will be able to ignore it. The fruit will speak for itself. Your life through each small act, each steady decision, each glance filled with genuine love will be the most powerful testimony. My child, the time has come for you to walk, not as one who is still searching, but as one who has been affirmed, no longer hesitant with each step, no longer wavering before each door. For I have placed my seal upon your forehead, a sacred mark invisible to human eyes, yet clearly seen in the spirit realm. It declares, "This is one I have called, one I have sealed, one who cannot be taken from my hand." From now on, you are not merely called, you are recognized, not by men, but by the one who wrote your name in the book of life from the very beginning. You have passed through the furnace, the season of cleansing, the dark hallways where no one could understand the silent cry of your soul. And it was in those unseen places that I forged you into a vessel of great worth, unshaken by toxic words, undistracted by envious stares, unbroken by temporary loneliness. Now, you are no longer one who seeks acceptance. You are one who carries the confirmation of heaven. And with that confirmation, every power you need for your mission has already been poured into your life. Know this: glory is beginning to radiate from within you. Not the fleeting glory that draws brief attention and fades, but the light that shines continuously from a heart that has been sanctified. I am making you into a burning torch for a dark generation. You do not need to shout or wave your arms, just be present, in the right place, at the right time. True light needs no explanation. People will see it, and they will either be drawn to it or turn away, unable to bear the purity it carries. And, my child, because of that light, you will face reactions both for and against you. Those who once praised you when you were silent will begin to distance themselves when you speak truth. Relationships you thought were enduring will reveal their fragility when you no longer compromise. But do not fear. Every person who leaves because of the light you carry is not a loss, it is a purification. I never take without replacing, and what I give in return will come from a place where there is no hidden shadow, no false intentions, no silent rivalry. Now, focus on what matters most. Your next journey is not about healing the past, it is about fulfilling the present. Do not turn back to analyze further. What needed to be understood, I have already made clear. Those who needed to be released, you have released. The places that needed to be cleansed have been swept clean by the very wind of my Holy Spirit. Now is the time for you to move forward with readiness, not readiness in the rational sense, but readiness in trusting faith. My child, there will be places I send you without a map, without detailed plans, only a word spoken deep within your spirit. Go, for I am with you. Then you will begin to see divine coincidences unfold repeatedly. Encounters that seem random will carry deep spiritual meaning. Dreams that once made no sense will begin to speak clearly. Words you speak will carry unexpected weight. These are signs that you are no longer operating in the flesh but by my Spirit. And when that happens, walk in greater humility than ever before, for the only thing that can extinguish the flame is when pride slips into its midst. My beloved, I will make you a place of connection for wandering souls, not through programs, but through presence. People will not come to you because of appearance, but because something within you makes them feel safe, seen, and truly heard. Guard that tenderness. My child, do not let elevation harden your heart. Do not let growth dull your sensitivity, for it is that genuine trembling within your soul that keeps heaven leaning in when you pray. When you stand in the land I have promised, do not forget who you once were, not to grieve, but to give thanks, not to relive the past, but to honor the one who carried you through it, because when you remember, you will worship not just with lips, but with the deepest parts of your soul, and that is the kind of worship that opens the heavens. That is the kind of offering that doesn't need fire, yet it can shake the skies. My child, I have brought you into this new place, not only for peace, but to reveal a part of justice that is now ready to be unveiled. For there have been things hidden, false words, deceptive actions, glances that seemed kind but masked intent. And I, who search hearts, have recorded every word, every act they thought no one saw. Now, the time has come. An unveiling is beginning. to deliver you from the long shadow of deception. I want you to know, you once thought perhaps you had done something wrong, that maybe you were not good enough, not humble enough, not loving enough. But it was in that very innocence that you became a target for exploitation. That person, the one who stood beside you with gentle words and seemingly sincere actions, carried a different agenda. It was not companionship, but control. Not friendship, but manipulation disguised as sacrifice. Yet I saw it from the very beginning. My child, I waited not because I was weak or inactive, but because I desired your heart to be purified of all bitterness before I acted. For my justice does not flow from vengeance, but from love for the one who has been trampled. And now, as the time has matured, I will begin to uncover the truth, not with loudness as men do, but in the way of heaven, sharp, precise, and undeniable. Everything once hidden under the guise of goodness will not escape the light that is now coming. Let me remind you, there are relationships that appear admirable on the surface, but are in truth spiritual traps set by the enemy. That person not only pretended to love you, but sought to capture your influence, redirect your emotions, and block your steps from reaching what was destined. But I have severed the cords, and now I am exposing the roots. For until the truth is brought to light, restoration cannot be complete. You may feel pain as truth comes to light. You may feel stunned as what you once trusted is revealed as a facade. But do not let that feeling make you tremble. For if I have chosen to reveal what was hidden, it is evidence that you are ready to step into a place no longer bound by deception. Some things must collapse before the new can be built. And now, the wall of falsehood is beginning to crack, not by rebellion, but by my hand, the hand of a just judge. Do not be troubled if they continue to deny. I do not need their confession in order to act. I need your obedience. For justice in heaven is not dependent on the courts of the earth. Once I declare, enough. Every force that aided the cover-up will begin to retreat, and you will see, step by step, all that once confused, you becoming clear. You will not need to investigate. You will not need to interrogate. I myself will orchestrate the events, allowing every eye to see clearly who is sincere and who has merely been performing a role. My child, this is the season of light, a season where darkness no longer has the power to cover those I have sealed. As the scriptures declare, there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be brought to light. Luke 8:17. That word is now being fulfilled in your life, not to bring you shame, but to bring you freedom. For only when truth is illuminated can the chains of doubt and self-condemnation be broken. Prepare your heart not to defend yourself, but to receive vindication, not to argue, but to stand firm as I begin to speak. For those who were once blinded will begin to awaken. Ears that were once shut will start to hear, and when my light shines, they will see the truth for themselves. Your steady silence will be your loudest voice on that day, for I am with you, and I will fight for you. You only need to be still. Know this event is not only about you, but it is part of a greater plan to purify the environment I am placing you in. For a new land cannot be built upon a decaying foundation. Every trace, every element that carries old energy must be removed. And I am doing that by revealing what has been hidden, not out of anger, but out of love, not to condemn, but to protect, not to shame anyone, but to guard you from what no longer aligns with the noble destiny you are about to walk into. My child, once justice from heaven has been released, no earthly force can stop it. That which was hidden behind smiling masks, words skillfully woven to distort truth, all of it is now being stripped away. And you will see it unfold, not through rage, not through retaliation, but through the quiet yet unstoppable force of light. For where light appears, darkness cannot linger. Truth does not need to shout to be heard. It only needs to be displayed in plain sight, and then even silence becomes the loudest declaration. I am rebuilding what was once broken, but not on the old foundation. The fragments you thought had been forgotten, I am gathering them, piece by piece, not to recreate the past, but to construct something new, stronger, brighter, and no longer vulnerable to betrayal. Your honor, once tarnished by gossip, misjudgment, and whispered words in the shadows, is being restored by me, not by human defense, but through divine affirmation that all will see. In the days ahead, you will notice a shift in the eyes of those around you. They will begin to question not you, but the very truth they once denied. Some will wrestle with rising guilt. Others will bow in silence. But I do not require their apologies for you to be healed. Your healing comes not from the words of man, but from my direct touch. Blessings will begin to replace judgments. Handshakes will carry respect instead of suspicion. And this will not be because of your striving, but because of heaven's public act. Remember this, your wounds are not denied, but they are no longer imprisoned in memory. I am turning them into marks of glory, evidence that you endured, and that truth has triumphed. The one who secretly laid a snare has fallen into it himself, not by your hand, but by the very law of the universe I have ordained. Whoever digs a pit for another will fall into it themselves. And in that moment, you need neither to rejoice nor to accuse. Remain still. Keep your heart tender. For the true reward is not found in satisfaction, but in being called righteous. In this season, I will also give you a new sensitivity. No longer will you be trapped in confusion, unsure of what is good and what is not. No longer will you be drawn to appearances that seem sincere. I will renew your spirit so that truth will no longer come by ear, but by deep spiritual discernment. And with that awakening, you will no longer step into error. Those who once exhausted you with mind games will find no place. Those who once played the victim to manipulate your compassion will be recognized from the start. My child, this is a new kind of protection I am placing over your life. My beloved child, true honor cannot be destroyed by lies, so long as I remain the one who keeps his promises. I have said I would guard your name as the apple of my eye, and that was never meant as a metaphor. In the moments when you could not defend yourself, I prevented far worse from happening. You have only seen the surface, but in the spiritual realm, I have fought relentlessly to ensure your destiny remained unbent. The angels I sent surrounded you during nights that felt hopeless, not because you were worthy, but because I have never withdrawn my covenant. This is the season of reshaping, no longer living from the wounds, but from the healing, no longer beginning each day with the question, why me, but with the declaration, I have been chosen. No longer looking to others for empathy, but looking to heaven for direction, because what I am about to lead you into cannot be carried by a heart still fractured. It requires a soul that has been healed, feet that can stand firm after falling, and a heart willing to love again even after betrayal. That person, the one you once called sibling, soulmate, companion, will no longer have the authority to define your path. I do not say this with bitterness, but with the necessary resolve, for some people are only permitted to walk with you for a season, and if they refuse to change, I will not allow them to hold you back. You have paid the price in tears, in silence, in long nights of inner warfare. Now is the time I settle every unfinished matter, so you may move forward unentangled. And when that happens, keep your heart pure. Do not let new power make you forget that I alone am your source. Do not let the lifting cause the gentleness in your gaze to fade. Continue walking as one who has been rescued, who has been justified not by merit, but by mercy. For in that very humility, I will continue to open new doors, grant greater authority, and position you in places you never dared to imagine. When this journey seems to reach its end, do not think it is the final stop. In truth, this is the threshold of the greatest chapter of your life, a chapter no longer written by the hands of betrayal, no longer controlled by masked manipulators, no longer shaped by the shadows of old wounds. From now on, I alone am the author of the story you are living, and I, the faithful one, do not write tragedies to test you, but victories to glorify my name through you. From this moment forward, you will begin to sense a new sacred atmosphere surrounding you. The fear that once ensnared your mind like an invisible net will be severed. The dread of being misunderstood, abandoned, or manipulated by those you once trusted will vanish like mist at sunrise. For I, the one who exposed the truth, I am also the one who will protect you in every step to come. You no longer need to glance over your shoulder, no longer need to question your intuition. I am placing within you a fully restored spiritual discernment, the ability to recognize good, separate from evil, and walk without hesitation. You will be led into places you once thought you were unworthy of. But I do not seek the flawless, I choose the tender-hearted. I do not require those who have all the answers, but those who will listen when I speak. And you are that one, not because you've never fallen, but because you always chose to rise, not because you were never hurt, but because you allowed me to heal you without closing your heart, not because you never trusted the wrong people, but because even in the ruins, you still trusted my guidance. New doors will begin to open not because you forced them to, but because I myself am opening them with my powerful hand. There will be invitations. There will be opportunities that seem sudden, but through it all, you will clearly recognize what comes from me and what is a counterfeit shadow. For I have equipped you with eyes that see, ears that hear, and a heart no longer deceived. This is the divine reward greater than any treasure, wisdom born of collision with meno from books or theory. You will become a living testimony, no need for elaborate explanations, no need for forceful arguments, only your walk in truth. The peace I have placed within you will draw others near. They will ask how you survived what once crushed them. They will wonder at the calm in your eyes amid the chaos of the world. And in that moment, you will point to Metha, one who entered your room in the night, when no one else knew, and gave you what the world could never understand. My child, do not be surprised when I begin to shift the paths of those who once dismissed you. Some will return not to reclaim their old place, but to ask for forgiveness. Some will witness your rising and be unable to comprehend it with reason, but do not concern yourself with their reactions. What I am doing for you is not to feed your ego, but to fulfill my mission. For every time I restore a person who was betrayed, it is a victory for the kingdom of light over the schemes of darkness. Validation will not come from applause, but from my unwavering presence in your life. And I will cause everything you do to bear the mark of Graceno because you begged for it, but because you are living in the stream of my choosing. What was delayed, hindered, or twisted by false influence will be realigned, corrected, and restored. The waters once dammed will flow again. The spiritual inheritance once locked away will be placed directly into your hands without intermediaries, without manipulation, without restraint from any soul who once disguised themselves as a friend. My child, I give you this eternal affirmation: you are mine. I have redeemed you at a great price. I have called you by your name. You belong to me. Isaiah 43:1. And no one can take that away. No scornful gaze can dim the light now rising within you. No accusation can silence the song of a soul that has been set free. No past can hold you back. For my hand has already written your future with the ink of everlasting life. You no longer dwell in the land of doubt. You have crossed over. Not alone, not by your own strength, but because I carried you through the fire without letting you burn, through the waters without letting you drown, through the darkness without letting you lose your way. From now on, every step you take will proclaim, "The Lord has delivered me from the hand of the hypocrite and set me in a safe place, where light is no longer veiled." Augury, go. My child, live as one who has been reshaped. Walk as one who carries a new authority. No fear, no retreat, no turning back. For truth has triumphed. For darkness has been broken. For destiny has been confirmed in the heavens. And I will go before you as a pillar of cloud by day, as a pillar of fire by night, until you are no longer amid the battle, but reigning in the place of eternal victory. Thank you for listening to today's message. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we can continue to receive the living words together. Build a steadfast faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.